Combat Series and the Ozark Mountain Nationals post show with special guest, veteran fighter, and superstar Kevin Walker. How are you doing, Kevin?
I am doing great, Bella. How's it going?
It's going great. And for everybody watching, Kevin is a regular on the show. We take the winner of the tournament, so it's not a surprise that Kevin has been on here many times. Now let's talk about how have you been doing, and tell me a little bit more about how you did at this tournament.
Okay, well, not much has changed since the last edition. Just still traveling, training, and teaching and competing. But things are going great. I can't complain. I have some things in the works as we speak, so I'll be very excited to announce some few things over the next few weeks. And as far as the tournament was great. Oh my goodness, like the Ozark Mountain Nationals by far is one of the best tournaments that I've attended this year. And it's not because I won, but just the entire experience itself was dope. From just where it was, the people that were there, the vendors that were there. Oh my goodness, I had one of the best stretches of my life at the tournament.
Interesting.
The prizes, the prize money, like, man, Richard Osborne Jr. has really been studying the consumer over the last several years, and he is delivering and over delivering every year, and it gets better and better.
So speaking of studying the consumer, we were chatting about this off before we went live, but he has intentionality when he speaks to what some would call a consumer, but also the competitor. What do you want to see at my tournament, and how can I implement that? And you mentioned vendors, which is not something that I don't really consider as a competitor, but when I hear the best stretch of my life, I'm like, I want that too. Can you talk about the different aspects at this tournament and expand a little bit further on that?
Yeah, well, so for example, like this actual vendor was inside the tournament venue space, so I had to at least just go ask him what he had going on, and it was after the tournament was kind of died down there, setting up for the finals, and the guy stretched me out, and it was just a wonderful experience. And I thought back to other tournaments where I had a good experience with the vendor, and that's something that a lot of people don't really think about, but for the spectator or the person that's not competing, you're going to come in contact with these vendors. And if you have something that's interesting, it can be something that's mutually beneficial for the actual vendor themselves and the consumer who's there. So I really think that Mr. Osborne, really took all that into consideration, because just everything from just how everything was planned, how everything was moving, everything just felt like this was the idea. Like nothing happened by accident at this tournament.
Yeah, that's something that you always can kind of appreciate when you see something and it's there for a reason. Now, can you talk about the competition that the tournament drew out, not only just in your own division, but what you saw on the mats around you?
Yeah, so being in the Midwest is always a hotbed of talent for these martial arts tournaments, and then there's always people that I might know just from the social media, but you take a lot of pictures and meet a lot of new faces. So there was definitely a lot of talent from the kids all the way up to the seniors. So you had representation from all across the country. The tournament's right in the middle of the country, so you had people showing up from all over the place. And you had high-level competitors. You had Paul Mitchell in the house. You had the All-Stars in the house. You had Heartland in the house. Team Kataro. Everybody was there. So I actually saw the women's fighting. That was really good. Saw some young superstars in there battling it out. I actually watched some of the teenage black belt sparring. I was able to coach a few people. So there was a lot of action everywhere, from forms, weapons of fighting for the men, the women, and the kids. It was dope.
Now, to say, we're already over halfway into the tournament year, and you've gone to multiple different tournaments. And to say that this is one of, if not the best tournament that you've attended, that's pretty high praise coming from someone who's so experienced. Now, can you tell me what goes into you saying like this is the best tournament? And you don't have to necessarily compare it explicitly to other places, but what makes this one stand out?
So, first question, usually the entire experience. So for me, when I rank tournaments, the first thing is the competition levels. Okay, so are some of the best guys present? How is the judging? Venue itself, it's funny because I actually saw a poll of this earlier. venue or location is probably one of the least important things. Like you would think it holds a lot more weight, but I don't really care where I am as long as I'm fighting the best people and having the best experience. But also, second question, what made this one stand out? The fact that someone might consider this a regional event or a smaller national event, for them to give out the type of prize money that they gave out, that was like we actually, there was more prize money given out, at least on my side of things, than at the so-called national events. So there was that part.
Now talk about how much you took home. Not to interrupt you, but I mean, we could find it online if we wanted to. But that's why I'm saying it's not like there's a it's hidden, and I'm sure it's something that he would be proud of to share. So, what was your sweep like at this tournament?
Not counting privates, we had, I believe, somewhere about 1,600 just off of competition, and I only did two individual divisions and a team division. So it's not bad.
No, that's great. And now, how far was it for you to get there? Did you drive or fly?
So I did both. Okay. Yeah, and actually, I'm not going to be the person to announce this, but I heard some rumblings. So a lot of people that were interested in attending this tournament, you might be excited about some of the news that might come out for next year. But I'm going to let Mr. Osborne say that, because I don't know if it's true or not. I just heard these whispers. But I flew into St. Louis, and then I did a 3-hour drive from St. Louis to Springfield. So
St. Louis, is that not where there was like massive flooding?
Perhaps. I don't
know. There's
if it's not financial news, I don't really know.
Okay, so there's just so much happening. It's hard to sometimes keep track of everything in the different places. Okay, so now there are some things that you have in the woodworks, not yet to be announced. But other than that, do you have what else have you been up to? You were able to coach some people at the tournament. Maybe let's talk more about teaching and privates and things like that. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going great. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about how we can do some sessions, especially with people who aren't necessarily near me. So a lot of European and Central and South American fighters have been contacting me, trying to figure out how they can set up some classes. And that's the one thing that I really hang my hat on. I was trying to develop these Skype and Zoom lessons for years. And now that we kind of have it rolling, I'm looking for more and more consistent people to take advantage of these services that I'm offering. So, but yeah, I've been doing a lot of teaching and training, and I had a chance to reconnect with some former students and even people who I still train with, just that are on the other side of the country this weekend. So it was really dope to be a part of that. So, and everybody looked good. Everybody performed very well. So shout out to my guys.
So speaking of connecting with people across the world, in conversations with Haley Glass for the upcoming magazine that we're putting out, she's talking about the people that she's met and friendships. And kind of like as martial artists, we take for granted the fact that we have connections in literally like every state and various countries. And you look to in her case, it was the student to her left or right, and the closest friend is like down the block, or the furthest friend is down the block. Wow. Can you talk to me more about your experience making those relationships across the world?
Yeah. So believe it or not, I'm actually a very shy person. Like I don't just go talk to people. So for you to see me as open as I am, that just gives you an idea of how comfortable I am with a lot of the people in what we do. So, but some of my greatest friendships have come as a result of me traveling or being a part of the martial arts. So I have friends all over the world, and they're not just people who I associate with. They're actually people who I consider friends, So, if they share a triumph, I'm going to be excited for them. If they're sad, I'm going to feel for them. So there's all of that that comes into play with me. And that's not just here in my backyard, but, we can talk about Germany. We can talk about Argentina. We can talk about Mexico, Ireland. I have friends all over the place. And I can't say that would be a thing if it wasn't for the experience that I have in karate and competing. So, but just to be able to travel to a different place and actually compete against somebody in something that's physical, but then after that, finish up and be friendly and go, celebrate and hang out. That's just something that either we're crazy for doing or it's just really something special about what we do. So I really enjoy that. And that's probably one of my favorite things about what I do, other than kicking people in the face.
Yeah. Yes, kicking people in the face is is always fun. I can attest. It's a very satisfying thing to do. Now this time flies with the whole COVID thing and just everything happening. But I remember you went on like a vacation and was it South America or something? And I just feel like you have a good balance of, this is from an outsider's perspective, but of like martial arts and also having a good time where you're going. For people who sometimes have a difficult time disassociating themselves from like, yes, I'm here to win, I'm here to compete, but also like you need to have fun in this sport in order to have longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like usually when I travel places, especially when I go to someplace for the first time, I'm always on tourist mode. That's why you always see me out with the camera, having a good time. But for me, usually when I go to a tournament, it is a business trip. And as Coach Jesse Ray would always play, pack your briefcase. So I always bring my briefcase. But after the business is done, that's when the pleasure begins. So I like to try to stay at places at least, if not a half day or a whole day after, so that way I can actually enjoy the experience. Because when we go in as competitors, we have a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves because we want to perform to the best of our abilities. And when you're in that type of mode, it's really hard to enjoy just where you are. But that's something that I try not to take for granted. Like I said, I would not have traveled to some of these places if it wasn't for martial arts. So when I do get to a new environment, I try to take at least a few deep breaths and look around and enjoy my sights.
So now my last question, you're in the karate school right now. Now you mentioned something about pressure on yourself. Sometimes that pressure can be self-destructive. And what do you tell your students when you notice that they're either on the mat, they're at the school, but they're putting so much pressure on themselves and they're actually doing worse than what they would be doing?
So it's a three-letter word that I hit everybody with. It is just fun. So whenever I see somebody that's applying that pressure on themselves and it's coming out or it's manifesting itself in a negative manner, I just ask them simply, are you having fun? Right? Because if you're not having fun, then why are you here? Like, this is not a job. I'm not forcing you to do any of this. Somebody might be, but if that's the case, you need to figure out the silver lining and find the fun in it. So that's the number one thing. Whenever I tell people, when you go out to these events and you meet these people, the number one thing, like, yes, you're there to fight your best, but if you didn't have fun, it was a complete waste. So, and I always double down on that, though. This is how I trick them. This is how I trick their mind. And I always tell them, what's more fun than winning, though? Right. So, so yes, you want to have fun, but, there's nothing more fun than winning. So at the same time, though, that winning is the ultimate goal for everybody. So if that's what you hang your fun hat on, then it's going to be a lot of people disappointed. So I always try to tell them you need to have fun whether you win or lose. So that way, at least the experience was fun. And it's really that simple. And I always break it down, whether they're an adult or a child. I always just say, hey, are you having fun? And then if the answer is no, I got to quickly reel them in. Like, all right, well, we need to figure out how to fix that. Because now once we're having fun, now we begin to kind of roll on all cylinders. And then you can actually see the person gaining confidence and then everything that comes with it.
All right. And it's hard to dispute that because it is very fun winning. And it's a great goal to have because there's not a better feeling than putting the work in and seeing a reward for it.
Exactly.
Now, where is the next place that either fans, students, anyone looking to see Kevin Walker in action or get a private with, where will you be?
Okay, so there's going to be a seminar weekend first. So let me touch on that. So I'm going to be doing 2 seminars this weekend, one Saturday and one Sunday. The one Saturday is going to be here in Georgia, right outside of Atlanta at Chris Walker's dojo in Roswell, Georgia. So just stay tuned to my Facebook or Instagram for more information on that. And then we'll be doing a session on Sunday in Paducah, Kentucky at Premier Martial Arts Paducah. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then as far as competition, you'll catch me in National Harbor next.
Oh, Cap Classics is coming up.
Yes, for the U.S. Capitol Classics. So you can catch me competing there, and you can also schedule a small group class or private class. I will be there.
Okay. All right. So different places. To reiterate, first is Georgia, then Kentucky, and then Capitol Classics for everybody watching. I actually did get a message, what time is Kevin Walker going to be on the show? So I responded. So they hopefully are tuning in for that too.
Perfect.
But okay, Kevin, I really appreciate you coming on to the Ozark Mountain Nationals post show Power Chat series. and just chatting it up. And it's always a pleasure to have you on as a guest.
Thank you so much, Bella. I hope you have a great day. And kudos to Mr. Richard Osborne Jr., man. Great job, sir. I look forward to attending again. And shout out to Casey Montgomery and Mr. Alex Macias. Awesome fighters. That's all I got to say. The future's bright.
Awesome. All right. Everybody, thank you for watching the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Peace.